And all right. So I hope that was inspiring, not intimidating. Maybe a little bit of both. I know. Anyway, I'm James Mahoney, and you guys can call me James or Jim, whichever you prefer. I'm okay with either one of those. But welcome. This class is so fun. I think students tell me at the end of the term that they really, really enjoy doing this stuff. It's really, really fun. So if you look at some of that work and you're like, oh my God, that looks like so much work, it's only because you're enjoying it so much you spend all your time in here doing it because it's really, really fun to do. And so I hope that's the takeaway from that. Yeah, so this is augmented and virtual reality design and development. As you probably already know, roughly half the class are designers. They're not coders at all, perhaps. But they know 3D modeling and they know animation and they know art and design. And then the other half, roughly, are coders, and they're responsible mostly for the coding, and you work together in teams for a lot of that work. There is some individual work, and I'm going to go through you right now. I'm going to go through and just describe how the class is going to work. It's complicated. It's a complicated class because you're going to be getting the gear, and we have, because different people have different skills and need different lessons, and we work together. So it's a little bit tricky to do. But this is my 15th time teaching this class, and it's changed so much over the years, all kinds of things, and a lot of it is from feedback from students. And I talk to students like the TAs, I'm going to introduce in a minute, and we adapt the class based on that, and also based on how technology has been changing. So before we get any further, really, really want to shout out to the TAs. The TAs really make this class go. We have several of them, Leo, Chennai, and Asya, and Jaden. Am I missing somebody? Memo, sorry. Let me change it. Can I just change it right here, right now? I'll change it soon. Memo. So anyway, could you guys stand up? Chase, Luke, Memo. And yes, and it's really important that you understand that they're an essential part of the class. You will learn so much from them. They have been through this. Many of the students, many of the TAs have been through it twice. You can take it at once as a designer and once as a coder. And by the time you do that, you really, really know this stuff inside and out. And you can learn a lot from them. And so it's really avail yourself of their expertise and you will grow and learn a lot more. So my background is in architecture. I have a degree in architecture. And I remember, it was a long time ago, but I remember that when I graduated, I remember thinking that I learned more from my fellow students than I did from anybody else. And it's really just the community here. And how many people, this is your first time in this room, taking a class in this room? Oh, a few.
Being in here or
taking a class in here. Yeah. Okay, so you'll find that by the end of the term, you're going to be spending so much time in here. You guys become a community. It's like a family. Am I right? TAs, am I right? Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's seen everybody at their best and at their worst. And like a family. And it's just a really wonderful thing. And so you will learn a lot from your fellow students, from each other, as well as from the TAs. So the goal of the class is really, it's a foundational class. So this is an intro class. You look at some of the work people are doing, it seems pretty advanced, but this is an intro class. I don't expect you to know anything about Unity. Raise your hand if you know Unity. Okay, only a couple. That's fine. You will learn everything. And here's the thing. I promise you that if you work hard in this class, by the time the class is done, you will know this stuff really well. And it's really fun because you're just like, I can make anything. I can make a game. I can make a data visualization experience. I can do all kinds of these things. And you will feel confident that you can do it. You know how to do it. So you will learn the basics, and everyone will learn it. Everyone will know Unity and know how to do these things. But one of the most valuable things about this class is that you will also learn how to work in a team. And especially with designers and coders, they often think very differently. They approach problems differently. And so you have to learn how to work together. And it's a really valuable skill, a lifelong skill. It's probably the most important thing you'll learn in this class, I think. And I have friends in the industry, students in the industry, and I go to conferences, and I'm always saying, like, what should I be teaching? I have these students here. They're super smart, super motivated. I have them for 10 weeks. What am I supposed to teach them? And I'm like, lighting, rendering, interfaces, what? And they almost always say the same thing. Can you just teach them how to work well in a team? I'm like, oh, all right, we'll do what we can on that. And I do try to teach a little bit about working in teams. I've worked in teams my whole life. I've been teaching for 10 years now. I can't believe it. But I worked in industry, and I've worked in a lot of teams, and I've worked with teams that were very successful and teams that were not so successful. And you learn from each of those experiences. And I'm going to try to share some of that with you. I also want everybody to have a nice portfolio. So you're going to hear me talk a lot about, if you do a screen grab, I'm like, can you just turn the grid off? Because you never know. This might be the thing that you want to show at an interview, and you want it to look good, even though it's like just something you just made in a few minutes. Like, take the time to showcase the work that you're doing in this class. It's important too. And then, of course, I want you to have fun. This class is fun. I've never had a problem where people just didn't want to show up to class or anything. People want to show up because it's a fun thing to do. And I want you to have fun. And if you're not having fun, talk to me. I want to know why. And I want to try to help you connect more to the fun part of it. And I know it's hard work, but it should be fun as well. Anybody have any questions so far? Oh my God, there's so much to learn. It was like, I don't know, 8 years ago, I said, I really want to teach this class on XR design and development. And I'm like, I really should have thought harder about it, because it's really hard to teach this class. It's just so many things to learn. And like, we cram it all in. But I think I found a way after, not doing so well, maybe the first few times, figuring out what are the things that trip students up and focusing on the things that people have trouble with, and doing those earlier in the term. And so we kind of front load. So the first 2-3 weeks, you're really learning a lot about Unity and how to do these kinds of things. And then we loosen up a little bit. Then it's a little bit more, you can work kind of how you want to work and focus more on the things that you want to focus on. Okay, so here's how the class works. And again, this is after many iterations. When I first started teaching the class, I didn't even teach Unity. I taught Unity at the same time I taught XR. That was a really bad idea. Now what we do is we don't even think about, the Quest and augmented reality and virtual reality. We don't even think about that until week 4. Right? So the first few weeks is just got to get up to speed in Unity, and I think it's the hardest part of the class. You get up to speed in Unity, and then we start adding in all the other stuff. So let me just walk you through how this works. I think you will find this to be one of the most well-designed classes you'll ever take, if I may say so myself. And again, just mainly because I've iterated on it so many times. So we start the first 3 weeks we work on Unity, and there'll be a Unity project. And everyone does a Unity project. That's a solo project. You're going to work on that on your own. Okay, so that's a Unity solo project. And while you're doing that, we have these sprints. There's sprint 1, sprint 2, and sprint 3. And those sprints are done, I try to do them so that you mostly should do those in class, right? And so we'll give you, time in the class to work on that stuff. And the TAs will be here, and we'll walk around, and we'll help you. And that way, if any problems crop up, we're addressing it in class live. And they build. The first 2 are Unity based, and then the third one is an XR when you first start, after we've handed out the gear, it'll be the first XR project that you'll work on.
The XR projects use Unity though, right? Like,
sorry?
The XR projects, like, that's not a separate thing.
No, all of these projects use Unity.
Okay.
Everything will use Unity. It's just we're separated out Unity so you can learn Unity without having to deal with the unique parts of that deal with a VR. So these are your projects. So there's a Unity project, these Sprint 1, Sprint 2, and Sprint 3. These are teams. These are team projects, teams of 2-ish. And the Unity project is a solo project. And the XR project is a team project also, usually 2, sometimes 3, 2 or 3 people. And that's also a team project. And then there's some things we call the know-how. And so when I showed you that list of all the stuff that you could learn in this, one of the ways to kind of get around that is that you will pick your own project. You'll pick something that's interesting to you. It might be something like Gaussian splatting. It might be some interface thing. It could just be, I'm going to make a beautiful, real, stunningly beautiful scene that renders really well and has, bloom effects and just looks great. If you're a designer, that's a reasonable thing. But you can shape one part of this class is based on something that you're interested in. Okay. And what you have to do is it's a 10-minute presentation. You have to write it up. I'm going to show you what some of these examples of these things are in a second. You'll do a 10-minute presentation in class and you'll create a document that would allow anybody else to recreate the results of what you're showing. And then the bulk of the class, as you can see, starting in week 6, is you're working on a final project. And those will be teams of like 4. I think ideally it's 4 people. You get 2 designers and 2 coders working together. It's a 4-person team. And you'll work for a long period to try to get to this gold star at the end. The gold star at the end is Technigala. That's when you'll be presenting your work right out here to your peers. And that's an important part of the class, right? That's your project has to work that night and it has to work well. And that there's a little bit of pressure on you for that, okay? And so that's the way that works. So we don't actually do the gear. The gear doesn't go out until sometime in week 4. And that first day is almost always a day of chaos. But we always have gotten everybody up and running. So by the end of the day, everyone can build and create their own. Now you know Unity, you can create your own Unity project and deploy it onto the device. Any questions? I actually think what I want to do right now is just show you some examples. I know I showed you a lot of examples already, and this is new. I didn't do this so much last term, but I think it's a good idea. So you understand what these things are. So a Unity project. Let me just show you a couple. You saw Felipe's, right? And you saw, I'm looking for one. Oh my God, they're all so good. I'll show you this one because this is from a long time ago. Jacob Chen. This is the one that you've seen a little bit of it, but it's a good example of it's well scoped. It was hard, but not super hard. Don't put all that text on. No one will ever read that text. No one ever read it. You put it up there, but no one ever read that text. I asked him, I said, you tell me if someone reads that. And I said, just watch, don't say anything. Nobody reads the text. They just start moving, pulling triggers. And it's a hard lesson to learn, but anyway. And so in this one, and he built all this. He did the terrain, he built the ship, he built everything. Again, another one, an overachiever. And so then the blue cubes are things that are missing from your crashed ship. So, but he was smart. The ship is very simple. He wasn't a modeler, he was a coder. So he kept it fairly simple. Really smart. That's an essential skill in this class, to learn how to do that. So basically you have to run around and you had to go find the parts of your ship that had fallen in the crash and you restore them and then you eventually can fly off. It's perfectly well scoped, but he did such a nice job. Created an inventory. That's the engine nozzle. You could pick it up and you can equip. The one caveat, like you notice that the nice gravel and stuff. In those days, I used to teach one whole section on terrains and building these mountains and getting those materials. I don't do that anymore because people started building these big, giant, sprawling worlds that don't render very well in VR. Not without a lot of work. So, but I still have videos if you guys want to learn that stuff too. So anyway, you get the idea. But he did the sparks, the particle systems. We hadn't covered that yet. Figured that out on his own. Anyway, so that's a great, that's a great example of the Unity. That's a solo project. And then for sprint one, so for sprint one, I'm going to edit all of your pieces together. So in sprint one, you're going to do a short little piece where you're going to have a third-person character, and it's always going to start with the third-person character jumping. Character jumps and then does something and then jumps through a portal. And I edited them together, and we call it Percy's Big Adventure. So, and I make one of these for every term. So I have all these for the past 5 terms or so. This is not the last one, but. But let me show you the one from last term. That was don't have it here. Oh, here it is. Fall 25, right? So again, this is 2 people. It's a designer and a coder. And they all start with the character jumping. You do some little puzzle. You solve some sort of physical thing that shows some basic interaction. It opens up a portal. And again, the designers get to think, well, what could that be? What is it?
Whoa. Lighting especially. Whoa.
It's really, really nice. They baked the lightings, but they don't have any cast shadows of the real time.
Hear that?
That's the only problem.
Oh no.
Come on, that's pretty amazing, right?
They go up from like.
This is Chase's. Do you know the Game of Life?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this gonna be Colleen's Game of Life?
It is.
That's awesome. But is he gonna make like one of those like things that expands?
Yeah, a skater. Glider, right? Glider. I sped it up. That's it. That's all right. That's it, right? Yeah. There he goes.
So how is this done? Is like every
You'll have to ask Chase.
is every single block like an individual like entity or like I love the skyline.
I give up.
So
So Memo is the coder on this one. Memo's taking it both as a coder and a designer. So she can answer all your questions. That's about as much reading as people are going to do in these things. So they did a good job on that. Nice job, you guys. 3 TAs over there. All right. I won't do that for sprint 2 and sprint 3. I'll show you just quick ideas. Um, I don't know. That's so I'm changing this. Yeah, sorry, I don't want to show you that. Sprint 2, I'm changing the way I do sprint 2, so I'm afraid I don't want to show you some of these things because I don't want you to get the wrong idea. Sprint 3, you'll work again in pairs, and this is the first XR project. So this person has a headset on, and what we've done before is you can instantiate an object that looks like it goes into a wall, and it uses a fancy thing so that it actually you kind of as you move around, it goes into the wall. But it has really well done lighting, really nicely made. You can figure out however you want to make that. It doesn't have to look like this box at all. So I hand you that box as a starting point. Here's one that Luke did. So the fun thing is you point a laser pointer. So it has room understanding. You have to understand how to recognize where the walls are in a room, and then you can instantiate an object that sets up into that wall.
if we're doing like XR, if we're doing like XR apps, it's okay to like turn off like the room voucher, right?
Yes.
Like, I mean, I know in like normal PR that's a bad idea, but
Yeah.
Yes.
You should be able to have your hands in front of like, or not hearing about the hands in front of XR objects in like a very recent edition. Stuff. Is this the same team that made that like game where you're in the dungeon and you're like grabbing the artifacts, or
Nope. Different term. So again, what's interesting is like there's a background, deeper space in there. You can do all kinds of really cool stuff. I think this one shows that. So they're doing that so that the headset will recognize what your hands are, where your hands are. But this one looks like it was a window out into deep space. It was really quite cool. Isn't that fun? All right, XR project. Just a couple of those. I mean, you like seeing this stuff, right? Okay, because I haven't really done this. I'm doing more and more of it, but it's because it does take up a lot of time. So this is a mixture that I think captures it pretty well. What it is. This is the entire class from last winter. 2 winters ago. Whoa. So the idea here is the main point of it is you start in AR, where you're in the environment right out here, and you do something, you interact with something, you do something that causes a change, and all of a sudden now you're in VR, and then you find your way back. There's a door back out. So it goes from augmented reality into virtual reality, back into augmented reality. Luke, is this yours? This is before your time. Ready? So this one, you grab the marshmallow. You grab the marshmallow from augmented reality, and then you go into virtual reality and you cook it. And you bring it back into augmented reality. Is that clever or what? And I give you a lot of freedom. You can really interpret how you want to do this in whatever way you want to do it.
So strong.
That's pretty fun, right? Oh, some more. These are all really good. I hate to just do this, but good fun. All right. And then, okay, let me just show you some know-hows. I think this is a good size know-how. You'll create a document like this. This is using a technique called Boyd's flocking behavior, and walks you through how it's done. That's interesting. I forgot that animated GIFs don't work in a PDF file. That's too bad. But anyway, he has these fish flocking around through this thing. Let me go find the real one. So if you go through the syllabus, and I'm going to come back to this in a bit, you can find a link to all of these examples of student work from previous classes. Right? If you open that up, you'll see that you have all kinds of different projects going way, way back. Okay, so you can go, it's really useful to go and look through some of that stuff. But you also have this thing called course know-how. And in here is an insane amount of knowledge here. All of these documents. There, let's take a look. All of these documents by students like yourselves figured something out and wrote it down and created these documents, right? So it's really, really useful to go through there. Your stuff will be added in here as well. Go through there, and these are the things that were interesting to you. And it goes on and on, right? Isn't that crazy? Lipe, different Daisy. Problem is, it's a little hard to find stuff, but I don't know. What did he call it? He called it flocking. There we go. I just want to show you because it shows you this. Doesn't play that in PDF. Pretty cool, though, right? All right. And then I think you saw enough of the final projects when in that big thing at the beginning. I want to keep moving because this is taking up a lot of time, but it is fun. Okay. Any questions about what you guys will be working on? All right. You got a pretty good sense of that? Does it look like fun? So you want to start putting on your creativity, start thinking, what would be a cool thing to do? You're going to have enough projects that you come up with and start thinking about what would be fun. It doesn't have to be a game. So many people do games. I'd love to see someone do more like a scientific visualization. We have had a few of those, but not a lot. So the class is somewhat flipped in that I have these videos that I've made that I want you to watch. There's some videos that I want everybody to watch. And then there's some videos I'll say, I want all the developers to watch. Doesn't mean that if you're a designer, you can't watch it. You can certainly watch it, but I require the developers to watch it. And vice versa. There's a couple of ones that are just mainly for the designers. And then obviously there's a lot of live lectures. I'll walk through a lot of things. and show you how, one path through how you can do some stuff. And then we have a bunch of discussions. We'll talk about the sociological implications of this technology. Where is it going? There's a lot of really interesting sort of soft topics. And we do an awful lot of in-class projects. So you cannot miss class unless you're sick. You're sick, stay home. But I try to use Zoom, and I try to record it to try to make sure that you can get the most out of it. And I put those recordings up so that if you miss something, you can go back and catch up. I'm not sure I'm going to do that for all of the lectures. We'll see about that. But really, I think most of the learning happens in the in-class exercises. At least that's my belief. I do want to say this, though. I've noticed in the past, one of the most common challenges, both as a teacher, but I think as a student as well, is students want to jump right to the really, really hard things. And it's just like learning calculus. It's like you can start trying to learn calculus, but you'll do so much better in calculus if you spend a little time with algebra and trigonometry, right? You get some algebra and trigonometry, you're pretty confident, and then you'll do the calculus. You'll do better with the calculus, and you'll have a fuller understanding. It's the same thing here. It's okay. You look at some of these demos, and you're like, they look so advanced. It's okay. You don't have to do that. Don't start there. Start with the easy things. Allow yourself to walk before you learn to run. I think that's really important. That's why I have a slide for it. The other thing that's really, yeah. You look familiar. Do I know you? No, okay. Probably seen you around. What's your name?
Oh, do you look any algebra for this course of the diagram?
Do you need algebra for this class?
Yeah, in your algebra.
No. I mean, it wouldn't hurt. Again, this is an introductory class. You're really just getting your feet wet. Obviously, you can take it to a more advanced level if you want. Many students have. Chase did something that was pretty intensely mathematic. But it's not a requirement. Okay. Good question. So I think really the key to this class is this weird component that there's both art and technology, and trying to figure out how to get them to work together, learning how to communicate, learning how to solve problems. One is not dominant to the other. Your grades on these projects are equally, you'll share the grade of the work that was done by the designer. If you're a coder, the work of your designer is going to affect your grade, and vice versa. So you learn how to support each other. I've worked in video game companies that were just fantastic, where everybody just gelled and they cranked stuff out. And that's really what you want. You want to be one of those groups where everybody just kind of comes together. I've also been in groups that were not gelling, and it's not fun. And so it's like anything else. You can learn how to do this. But I maintain that when you have great technology and people that are really good with technology, and you combine them with really great artists and creative artistry, and you put them together, it really equals magic. There's like nothing like it, and you're going to love it. You're going to enjoy that part of this class. All right, so let's take a look at the syllabus. I have office hours. I would like to meet with everybody in this class at least once before the end of the term. It's a little better near the end of the term. We can look at your work. I want to make sure you get individual feedback. I don't always have time to do that in class because it just takes too long. And so you might, submit a project and feel like I didn't really get enough feedback. Come see me. We'll go through it. We'll look at it. I'll give you detailed feedback on anything, or even if you just want to talk. They also we do this program, Take Your Professor to Lunch. I would love to go out to lunch with you. Just go out and tell you, I can tell you some stories about the good old days, or anything. We talk about anything. And it's just great that Dartmouth has this program. They'll pay for that. They'll pay for us to go have lunch. But even if we don't go through Pine, or you can't get the voucher, or like you're a grad student, because I don't think grad students can do that, let's go have lunch anyway. You don't have to pay for my lunch. That's not the point. I just want to have a social moment to hang out with you. And so I'm happy to do that. Discord. This class is on Discord. It's really, really important that you don't email me. Just use Discord, and use it a lot. If you have a question, put it in the general channel, because there's a good chance other people have the same question. So I want you to just really lean on Discord and really, really use it, okay? Main thing is job number one is to take care of your health. Dartmouth is a pressure cooker. In this class, people put so much on themselves because they set their own expectations so high that they're in here many, many, many hours. That's why we have these cushy things, because people end up sleeping here. You don't have to do this. It's really important that you take care of your house. You gotta eat well, make sure you get enough sleep. If you're feeling super stressed, you have to find a way to de-stress and talk to us. We don't want you to have a bad time. We want you to remain healthy, okay? Dartmouth has a wellness center, and I've had many, many students that have gone there and said it's been really, really helpful for them. It's both mental health and physical health, and so you have to take care of yourself. Grades. I don't even know what I was going to say about grades. I hate grading. It's the only thing I don't like about teaching, but I'm going to grade you. I know that I grade fairly. I work super hard at it. I'm confident my grades are fair. I will tell you exactly how to get an A. I will tell you, and if you do that, you will get an A. It's that simple. But it's not so simple because, you'll get sick, you'll miss something, you'll hand something in late, you'll hand something in that's missing some of the deliverables, and then it starts to get complicated. But I'll still try to work with you. You can meet with me when you meet with me. If you're worried about how you grade or how you're doing in the class, we can talk. I'm not going to grade. Well, I'm rethinking grading this term. I usually keep that to a minimum. I only give you 2 grades, a midterm grade and a final. But this term, I'm still toying with this idea. I'd like to know what the TAs think of this. I'm thinking the TAs and myself are going to grade you after the milestone check-ins. So the milestone check-ins, because that is the key to success, I think, in this class. We have these milestone check-ins. If you're hitting your milestones, your project's going to sing. If you're missing your milestones or blowing it off thinking I can do this at the end, you cannot do it at the end. It never comes together at the end. Never. I've never seen it.
Are milestone check-ins a part of the final project?
Yeah, several of the projects will have check-ins.
I see.
Good question. Anyway, so we'll talk more about grades. I'm still in a little bit of a flux on some of those things. There's links in the syllabus to interesting stuff. I'm not going to go through each of those. You need to do that on your own. Let me actually show you this. So let me just show you how this works. And I'm sorry for all this lecturing. This is the most unusual class for the whole term. I won't sit up here and talk the whole time. Because talking is my second least favorite. Okay, so here's the schedule. So you'll see that in the syllabus, if you haven't looked at it already, it has the course overview stuff. And then it has 3 tabs: the Unity section, the XR section, and the final section. Again, color coordinated to go with this map. It should be pretty straightforward to follow how these things work. And then, of course, there's the spreadsheet, which is also color coordinated, and it walks you through the timeline of how this works. This works so much better than Canvas. It isn't even funny. It's so much better than working in Canvas. And you guys are going to love it. It's so much more organized. You'll know exactly where things are, when they're due, what has to be done, all the assets you need. It's all right there. And also, when you submit stuff to folders, you're all submitting to the same folder. So you'll be able to see what other people are doing. You'll be able to ask questions to each other. It's not a zero-sum game. If you guys all earn an A, you get an A. It's no curves, nothing. Right? If you all earn a C, you'll all get a C. There's no curves. Okay? So help each other. Right? Like the rising tide lifts all boats, right? Okay. So in the syllabus, useful links. TA practical advice to students. These are the things that we've determined that really make a difference. You really want to understand that. We don't need to talk about it today. References. It's up to you to go through and do a deeper dive of this. And resources. This is generally how the grading scheme works out. There's some stuff about wellness and all that. But then when we get to this, and this is really how this was going to work, you'll see that this is pretty typical. So I'll have a section here, like this one's on Unity, the learning objectives, the things that I'm expecting you to learn. This one is in blue because only the coders need to know coding patterns. The designers don't. And this is also pretty thick. These modules are all organized the same. So you'll get used to how this is organized. At first it might look like, oh my God, it's so much stuff, but it's all pretty straightforward. So for typically a module is 1 week, but not always exactly. And it starts off with a link to a portfolio. And that's when you're doing stuff in class, you're going to be doing screen grabs or making little videos, and you're going to be uploading them to a common folder. All right. And that's where you're going to find that folder for each one. So each week on Monday morning, I close the one from last week. It remains open until just before class on Monday. Yeah.
Question. So you said we're doing like little screen grabs with the portfolio. That kind of leads me to just a quick question. Are we gonna have like OBS on these things? And if not, then install it?
It should be, that's a question for the TAs?
Yes. It's not on there.
It should be on there, right?
And
Yeah.
is there like any other like good soft? Is there any other like important software stuff that we have to like be loaded onto the computers?
These should all be there, but we'll talk about that as we get deeper into it. All right, so you're going to click on this, and that's where you're going to put stuff. I want you to name everything. Start with your name, the name that you use in class. Felipe, it's going to be Felipe underscore, my amazing thing 1, my amazing thing 2, my amazing thing 3. And so that way, because I want them all, don't create a subfolder, because I want to be able to very quickly sort by your name and just go boom, 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 and look at where everybody is. And I get a sense of if I need to circle back and do something a little differently. So then for each module, I usually have the learning objectives. And then I have in the lecture, I'll have lecture notes. You'll open these up, and this will be, I'm hoping we're going to get to this today. If I could stop talking. And this is the slides that I'm showing you just right now. So this is like assets. So you come to the syllabus to download assets. This is the stuff that's not going to be in the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is more for the schedule. So this is for links and assets that you're going to need in class. Okay? Is that clear? And so then it goes through, this week 2, 3, it goes on, and then we switch over to the XR, and it's all the same. So it should be very clear and organized where things are. Okay, so I want you to do something right now. Couple of things. First of all, you should have a link to, only 10 of you have filled this out. Raise your hand if your name is not on here. All right, you guys need to go do that. Add your name to this. This is public. This is for everybody. It just talks a little bit about your experiences and who you are, what name you use, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so I want everybody to do that. You should have a link to it from the welcome email. Let me know. Talk to a TA if you have any issues with that. And I want you to do this. I want you to open up. Sometimes I add stuff to this syllabus, and it can be a little daunting because there's a lot of sections in here, right? It's big. But I want you to know that you can always almost always, there's a keyword that you'll know, like we're doing something on rendering, whatever it is we're doing, right? You can just do a search on it. So I want you to do a search on magic word. I want everybody to do a search on magic word right now. And I want you to direct message me in Discord. Don't put the answer in the public channel. I want you to direct message me on Discord. And we're going to hear it go bing, 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 bing. Okay?
Where is it?
There it goes. Someone was quick.
Where is the syllabus document again?
The syllabus?
Oh, when you emailed. Wait, never mind. Yeah.
You're going to want to have access to this syllabus when you're here all the time. Easy access. You're going to need it over and over and over and over again. So the syllabus and the schedule. So the reason for this is I want to make sure that you know that you can find whatever you need to find in the syllabus, right? Just by doing a search. And I also want you to know, I want to be able to verify that that we're connected on Discord. That I can talk to you and you can talk to me. Awesome.
You don't have notifications on for calls. I was like expecting it was just like randomly, you're like, dude,
That would be a problem. So I want you to recognize that these documents are living documents. I change them. Sometimes I have to adjust things based on how the class is flowing. Sometimes I speed things up. Sometimes I add some stuff. So don't bother printing them out and downloading them or anything like that. You just have to have the link handy so you can always go and find stuff. All right. And this is important to know. All right. That was a lot of talking. Well, I don't really want to get this. I think the spreadsheet should be self-explanatory, right? I'm not going to bother with that. Okay, I want everybody to, are you ready? The class really starts now. The fun part. I want everybody to fire up Unity Hub.
How do you send it to the computers?
TAs will help you. Come on, you guys got to earn your money now. Tanner has a question.
Computer still has mine.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tanner, see, there's the
Yeah, right.
Oh, I didn't see that up there.
right on the wall.
like
005.
Yeah, thanks. I was supposed to say that.
Is this like something that needs to be changed or?
Okay, so I signed in HBS, Studio.
I can just use a different computer. No, you know what? I'll
No, there's no, it's not, because I think that there's only a way to change.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. Use just, it's not.
Oh, wait, oh, that.
So we fix that.
I don't know how to fix that. I
thought they were gonna be wiped.
they weren't wiped like that. They were
Okay.
they were cleaned.
Okay.
We deleted stuff. So you have to figure that out.
Okay.
You'll figure it out.
I emailed the guy that you told me to email.
Leo?
No, not
Somebody else?
It was some IT fellow.
Oh, he was probably on vacation. Try him again.
Okay. Well, no, it wasn't this past term. It was
Rowan?
like right when the problem happened.
It looked like you're signed in on VS Code, like or VS Code.
No,
or
but
VS.
those.
No, it just. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I can sign out here.
Chase, you're one of the smartest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
You will figure this out.
No.
I could recommend other people, but I'm pretty sure you're gonna figure this out. No, don't. We need to fix that.
Are we supposed to use like the school license for this?
Occam's razor
Yes.
gets so
Okay.
hard right now.
So
I was
I gotta make a new
No,
account.
Occam's,
You have to what?
Occam's razor gets.
No, 'cause I have a personal, like,
that when you
I have
do
a
end
personal
up figuring out
the
like
educational
what
thing.
I've done.
But that makes it different.
Okay.
Well, all right, here's the thing. So I don't want anybody doing this on their laptop. You have to use the machines that are here. Okay, and you have to use the 3-button mouse. We're going to be professionals here. Right? This is how people who do this kind of work, they need at least 2 monitors, preferably twice as big as these, and a 3-button mouse. Nobody's doing it on a trackpad on their laptop. Those are like, 14-year-old kids at home that are doing it as a hobby.
What if you have like a laptop, but it's plugged in and a second monitor and a mouse?
That's okay.
Okay, good, because that's like my exact setup.
I'm okay with that. Did you hear that question? If you want to use your laptop, and you plug it into one of these monitors, because when we come around, I can't see it when it's a little tiny screen. We have to see it on the big screen, and you need to see it on the big screen. So if you're using the big screen, I'm okay with it, as long as that's where Unity's running. And you need the 3-button mouse. Okay.
Pressing sign in on Unity just doesn't do anything.
Luke will help you.
That's the good thing about
Where?
I
Oh,
figure out why.
this is like, I didn't even notice like this monitor over here. Nice.
Okay, so
Genuinely didn't.
if you fire up Unity Hub, you have to recognize that this changes every 3-4 months. Things are in different places. Sometimes they change the name of things. Never get too settled. This technology, the underlying technology is changing rapidly. So you have to be flexible in your thinking, okay? But this is what Unity Hub looks like. And so everybody, this is where you start. And I have a series of slides called Abstraction that just tries to help give you a high-level view of how these things work and what we're doing. So Unity Hub is kind of the center of this. That's why it's called a hub, I guess. But it's where you go for your Unity installs. That's where all of when you're going to install another version of Unity. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Unity is very version specific. And so this is where you're going to install it. This is where you're going to change the modules and things that are installed in that version of Unity. And this is where you're going to change it. And then it has all your projects. It has access, going to provide an interface for you to access all of your projects. And it's also where you create new projects. So you'll use that to start and create new projects.
No, I switched. It's not that. It's just that I forgot how much actually, no, I should probably get used to keyboards like that anyways. Like, and I could probably swap them around anyways. Yeah, I'd probably be faster to do this.
All right.
All right, so what I want you to do, once everybody have Unity Hub up? Anybody not have Unity Hub up? All right, let's move. So you should have some stuff installed. This is a brand new thing. Again, you have to be very flexible. Apparently, there's a security alert on some of these older versions of Unity that are, if you build a game with those, it creates a security problem. It's a known security issue. So you have to make sure. So we may have to download it and install another version of Unity. I don't know. Can one of the TAs, Memo, can you just check to see if the version of Unity that's on there looks okay?
6.2 is on here.
Which one, though? Are you getting the security alert, the red security alert? You see it? No? All right, I'm assuming that you're not having that problem. So if it's a problem, we'll manage it. So if you're using any Unity 6.2 something, that'll be fine for this class. That should be fine. And if you need to install another one, sometimes we like to use these older versions because there's some things that we know work there that don't seem to work very well on 6.0, like the stencil buffers. So anyway, so here's the thing. So here I am. If I click on the installs on the left, I can look at what I have installed. Everybody's attention for a second, right? Right here, you'll see right here that this one I didn't install this properly because I'm missing it. It only has Windows, doesn't have Android. You want Android and Windows if you're on a Windows machine, or Android and Mac if you're on a Mac, right? Probably. But the Android you need for VR work because the headset, the Quest, is just an Android device. Okay, so as far as Unity is concerned, it's just an Android device, and so you're going to need that installed as well. So if you want to install something, you can just come up to the install editor, and you can see this is what it's recommending. You should always go with what it's recommended. LTS is always good. That means it's long-term support. That means they're dedicated to keeping that one clean and running. And so you can install it. It often does not install the first time. I don't know why. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times, and then it installs. Right? You have this? You guys have this problem? TAs? Yeah?
Once you click on install, it's just Android build support and Android SDK and then DK tools.
I think OpenJDK.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, all right. So let's say I was going to install this one. You want OpenJDK, Android SDK, and Windows build support for one of these devices.
That's great.
But you should not need to install anything. I'm just showing you how you would if you wanted to. All right. You shouldn't need to install anything.
Didn't have that.
And what you didn't? All right. So then you go to projects. And so these are your projects. And this is all the projects I have on this machine. You can take one of these projects and you can get rid of it. You can remove it. You can have it show me in Explorer where this project is. I can also remove it from the list. It does not remove it from your hard drive. Right. And so if it's on your hard drive, I can also say add, and I can go and add a project from disk or from a repo. Right. And I can add a project that way. Was that pretty clear? So for most people, all you want to do right now is just create a new project. Right. So you can come up here and you hit new project. And I want everybody to be a little bit clear on this thing. This is both designers and coders. I want you to pay attention for just a second, okay? Because it's easy to make a mistake here. You always want to check to make sure that you're creating a new project on the version of Unity that you want. So in this case, I want to switch this to this version here because it doesn't have the security alert. So I switch it to that, and then I have all these choices. And you might think, oh, great, I want to use one of these, multiplayer, all these different things, these mixed reality. Why don't I use that? Or you will get into so much trouble if you start doing that. Okay? Because I've seen this so many times. The problem is Unity has their own version, a way of doing things. Meta has their way of doing things. And there's several other companies that have their way of doing things, and they don't mix. They don't mix. You cannot mix and match parts. You have to be very careful about that. So for us, in this class, we use it's a well-worn path that we know works. You want to use this. You want to find this one here. There's a high definition, which is if it's not going to run on a small device, right? You can use high definition. It's cinematic. It's beautiful. It's as good as you can do in any other program. You can do that with the high definition. But for us, we want to use the universal 3D. So you want to find that. And you can filter these. If you go to core, it just eliminates some of them. But you need to just find this where it says universal 3D core. And if you select on it, you'll see up here a little description. Universal 3D. So everybody memorize that. Universal 3D. Right? It uses this one here, the URP, the Universal Render Pipeline. This is really important. Okay? So then when you have it, you're going to have your organization, whatever your name is, whatever you want, and you're going to give it, I'm going to say demo winter 26. Holy cow, it's 26. And then you can find, down here, this all just works the way you think it would work. So I have all of these projects on this machine, probably oh my God, it's way too many projects. And so I say, where are you going to put it? So here's the thing. If you're on one of these PCs, the tall aliens, well, first of all, these new aliens here are the fastest machines you've probably ever used in your life. These are unbelievably great machines for doing XR. You can use a Mac for doing this work, but I don't recommend it. It just doesn't work as well. PCs, there's a lot of advantages to using a PC. You can plug right into a PC and you can, in your editor, you hit play and you can just watch it in your headset. It's a little trickier to get that to work with a Mac. And it just seems like all of these things work first on a PC and then on a Mac. And these new PCs, the shorter ones, have an RTX 5080 graphics card. The graphics card alone, don't break the keyboard, please.
My apologies.
The graphics card alone costs almost $2,000. Yeah. Probably. You're on your own for that. TAs might be able to help you with that. Basically, we're set up here so that you should use the machines here. We really want you to use the machines here. In part because we want to build community. We want you guys to come here, use these machines, and do your work here. You'll get stuck. Something won't go right. And then there'll be someone next to you and say, oh, I know, that happened to me yesterday, and they'll help you through it. That's an important part of this whole experience. And so I really want to encourage you to use the machines here, do your work, and then back up your stuff to the cloud when you're done at the end of the day. These machines, sometimes they'll get a virus. We have to wipe them or re-image the disk. That happens not too often, and other people will be coming in and using these. So you really want to shut down your accounts and back up your stuff to the cloud. Okay, so where was I? So I've set where I'm going to do it. Select the folder, and then I hit create project. I always double check. Do I have the right version? Am I putting it in the right place? Oh, I know. I was going to say on the taller PCs, they have a D drive and a C drive. You want to put all your stuff on the D drive. The C drive is for system software, and the D drive is think of it as D for data. It's your stuff. And there should be folders on here that says DXR. Put everything in the DXR. Other people are using these computers for this term. You want to keep your stuff clean. You want to keep the desktop clean, documents clean, and where else do people put stuff? Those are the big ones. Downloads. You know, when you download something, download it and then move it or delete it, right? Move it where it goes and then delete it. Just try to keep everything clean. And try to keep your area clean too. You know, if you bring food or something, just take it with you when you leave. Clean up after yourselves. Don't leave trash around. Don't leave stuff. Don't clip on little bunny thingies on, whatever. Just, all right, you can do a little bit of that. But you want to just be thoughtful for the next person that's coming in. They don't want to be like, oh, I don't want to touch anything. Okay. Oh, it's also a good idea. Wash your hands before you come in. Let's keep the germs out best we can. All right, so then you hit create project. I should have done that a minute ago. It takes a little while. If you need to stand up and stretch your legs, by all means.
Come and see if they can help me get this work. I just want to see if I can get this one working. I really just don't want to accidentally mess anything on linked to your account. You know what I mean? And also,
It's fine.
but also just cool computer.
Is it not working?
I don't know if it seems to power. Oh wait, where was the power by?
It's around the first.
Really?
Yeah.
Where?
It's this one.
Oh, that's a button. Oh, I thought that was just an icon. My apologies. And then those still doesn't seem to be connected.
Give it a
but
second for it
it's-
to boot up.
Oh, wait, maybe.
There's another one of those supercomputers right here.
There's no cable.
And there's another one, Jeff, there's the one right, are you using that?
With the split.
There's another one right here. There's one right there.
So you'd have to go in, since this is no HDMI one, you'd have to.
this.
Let me check.
Oh wait, no, it is a DP, never mind. Probably just as a photo. Doesn't make more sense. Oh, wait, it's in, it's good. And then there's that, which is in your meter.
We'll get there. Let's just sign it. I think.
Yeah, once I sign it, I think it will be fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think you should switch it. I think you should, I recommend you switch it. It's one of the faster window images, it would be much better now.
Things just don't work on the Macs, unfortunately. But here's the thing, once you're in the program, it doesn't make you're not gonna, the only time it makes a difference is when you're moving files around and stuff. When most of the time, when you're using the software, it's pretty much the same, or it should be.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you.
All right, so once you have Unity up and running, you'll notice you have all these windows. Again, I want to give you just a little bit of an abstraction on that. So here's the high level. Ready? Everybody with me? Can I have your attention? So here's the high level view of what's going on with the Unity interface. That a Unity project, so we just created a Unity project, your first Unity project for most of you, right? A Unity project can have multiple scenes, right? And so the scene is what you're working on most of the time. You're in there making changes to your scene, and you have a scene view. So you have a panel for your scene, and in that scene, you'll have a bunch of objects, right? You also have a project window. The project window is a view that mirrors exactly all of your files that are on your hard drive. So the project view is your hard drive, right? And so they're not in the project necessarily. That's just a way for Unity to view what's on your hard drive, the things that you have, the models, the animations, sound, everything is in the project window. And so you're grabbing things from there and you're dropping them into the scene to add them to the scene. So once you've added an object to the scene, you'll see it in the scene hierarchy. The scene hierarchy is a list of all the stuff that's in your scene currently. If it's not in the hierarchy, it's not in the scene. Okay? And so in the scene, you'll be selecting objects. So this is the scene view is where you do all your work, most of your work. And you'll be selecting objects. And when you select an object, right, that grabs the focus, right? So when it has focus, it'll switch over all the information in the inspector window. And in the inspector window, we'll see, well, what is this object? How does it work? What are the parameters? What is it? And so what you'll constantly be doing is you're selecting objects in your scene, and then you're going into the inspector and you're changing things. You're making adjustments, right? You're modifying the thing, right? And that's, at the very high level, that's what you're doing all the time in Unity, okay? Easy, right? So your scene will look different than this probably. Well, you won't have that in it. Let me, so it might look something like this, right? And so here's the scene view. I know that they'll be laid out differently, right? And I want to talk about that in a minute, but you'll have all of these views. You have the scene view right here that I just described. You'll have I didn't even mention the game view. You have the hierarchy. The hierarchy is everything that's in your scene. And you have the project. The project is these are the files that I have on my drive, right? And then the inspector. Okay, so I just want to say this is really important. If you have your hierarchy over here, like a lot of people they'll have their hierarchy over here, or maybe their projects will be over here, and they'll have your inspector over here, something like that, because it's intuitive. You kind of want your workspace in the middle of your screen. That is not a good idea. I have seen so many students that end up with problems because what they're doing is, a lot of times what you're doing is you're taking something from here and you're dragging it into your inspector. And what happens is people drop it by mistake in the scene, or they'll drop from here in the scene by mistake, or it gets dropped in the wrong place. And since you're doing it all the time, it's much more efficient if these things are stacked up over here. right? So that because you're constantly moving things from here to here and from here to there and from here to there. So these three windows have to be close to each other. If you want them on the left, fine. Although if they're all in the same place, it makes it easier for myself and the TAs to just go, we know where stuff is, we can help you. Yeah.
Can these windows be on separate monitors?
Yes.
Nice.
But that'll make it harder when you have a question and we have to come down, we have to hunt around and find out where everything is. But yeah, you can absolutely do that. And that's what I do when I'm working at home. Okay. So once you have your layout laid out the way you like it, hopefully it's something like this. You can come up to here to Windows and you can say layouts and you can save your layout. So why doesn't everybody do that? Move the hierarchy. So you have the hierarchy, inspector, and project are all near each other. And then do save the layout and give it your name. And raise your hand if you need help.
Which drive should we be setting this on?
Which machine are you on?
The new one?
Yeah.
That only has a C drive. That created so much confusion, we decided to go with just one big drive. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why why do you only have one monitor? Oh, is these the ones that are missing the cables? Memo will help you out. You're supposed to have both monitors.
It's not where on.
I think it's probably just not on.
Anyway, memo will get you wired.
A quick question. Is it okay if I use a version of like one of the security alert versions of Unity just for this or
Just for today, but at some point you.
just for, no, I'm installing this for.
Yeah.
What parts of the computers are wiped every once in a while?
Well, it could be the whole computer, but what we really clean up is the desktop, documents, downloads, and then anything for the classes. All right, so if you're already there, what I want you to do now is I want you to go to the syllabus. And go to the Unity section. You can open up these lecture notes. Lecture 1, public notes. This first Unity project, this walks you through what I just walked through. I try to support all different kinds of learners. Like some people like to follow me. Some people find it difficult to follow me. Sometimes I go really fast. So I try to have documents. They don't always match one-to-one exactly, but I try to have something if you're better with just reading something. And then I try to also have videos. So it's videos, documents, and live demos, right? And all kind of supporting the same goals. Right here where it says you will need this updated prefab. All right, right here. I want you to download that. So you'll have something that's called a Unity package. You're going to be very, very familiar with Unity packages. It's just what it sounds like. It's got all kinds of assets and things in it, and it allows you to move things from one machine to another, from one person to another. Do you think you're going to need to do that in this class? All the time. So let's get familiar with it. Okay, so you've downloaded that. You should have this. Your screen should be set up something like this, where you have your inspector, you have some stuff over here, you have your hierarchy, your project, and you have your game window and your scene. We'll add some other windows as we move forward. The other window that's really useful down here is usually you have your game window down here. You'll also have a console. But if you're running something, and if you get a warning or an error in your console, this is for the coders mostly, it'll come up down here on the bottom, so you don't have to always have it open to see it. Okay? So here's the way this works. Can you guys see this? Kind of small. So if I come down here, on everything that you have in your project folders will be under assets, right? And under assets, you'll see scene. And right now you have a sample scene. That's the one that comes up by default, right? If I want to create a new scene, I can come up here and I can say File, New Scene, and give it a name. It's going to do the same thing. It's going to allow me to pick, I want the basic universal render pipeline, and I can hit Create and create a new scene. Or Save Scene, and go to navigate to scenes, give it some name. I'm going to say demo winter 26. So now this the name of the scene. So now we have two scenes. All right, everybody with me? This is really cool. If I right click on anything in here, I can say show and explore. Right clicking on anything in Unity is like everything else is really good. If I right click here, I think I'm in trouble. I can say show and explore, and it will pull up a window and show me where it is. If I go here, this is my project, my assets, my scenes. I can just go here. I can navigate. Now I'm just looking at all my files. So that's an important thing to know. All right. So now, hopefully you've downloaded that. And once you've downloaded that, I want you to just drag and drop it. Open up the scenes. You can really put it anywhere in assets. But if you open up assets and you drag the package that I've just told you to download, you drag it into here and it will come up and it will look like that. Okay, so this is just what you think it is. It's got, this package has all this stuff in there. It's got all these materials and models and prefabs and textures and everything's in there. That's a lot of stuff, right? When you import a package, you always want to look at it and say, am I importing something that's going to cause a problem? Am I going to overwrite my scene? Am I going to do something that's going to be a problem? So I look down here and it says scenes, sample scene old. Well, I don't have to worry about that because I don't have a sample scene old, right? So, but if I just had, that was called sample scene, it would overwrite the other sample scene. And students lose a lot of work doing that sometimes. So what you can do is you can just uncheck it. You just say, yeah, I don't need that. Or maybe you do need it. And before you do this, you'll change the name of something, change the name of your scene. But you just want to be careful whenever you do this. A lot of times it's just junk in here. You just say, it's like it's got scripts for something that has nothing to do with the package and you just don't need it. And you just uncheck it because you don't want to junk up your stuff. All right, but this one is clean. You need everything in here. Okay, so you just hit import and it will import everything. And when I go to scenes, now I have sample scene old. That's the one I want because this is an old sample scene. There's a newer sample scene, but I like this one for teaching class. This one's really good for this exercise. So then, again, so to go to scenes, I click on scenes down here. I find the scene I want. I double click on it and it will load. And it will take a minute. So, this is just bugging me, so I'm just going to go do something because it's bugging me. You don't have to follow me. If you've done this work before, you can follow me. If you don't want to, it doesn't matter. It's bugging me. The lighting in here is not quite right. It's a little dark, but I will walk you through it in case you want to do it. I'm going to fix that, or I think I'm going to fix it. I need the lighting tab. And so to get that, if it's not already up there, you can go to Windows. Where is lighting? Under Windows, rendering, lighting, and you're just going to want to dock this next to the inspector. It's something you're going to be using a lot. So under lighting, I have all these things that I've seen, blah, 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 all these different things. If I click on environment, again, you don't need to be following this. I'm going to generate lighting down here. It just means and I'm not even going to change any of these. Ordinarily, we change all this stuff, and we're going to get to that in a couple weeks, but I'm going to hit generate lighting. Yeah, see, isn't that much better? So I just fixed it. So you can do that too, but if you don't, this is not what we're covering today. It was just really annoying me. You guys can appreciate that, right? All right, so that's done. So now you have everything here. So now I'm going to just pretty much walk through in the syllabus. If you look at the lecture notes, it's always a little different, but basically everything I'm about to say should be in the lecture notes, or almost everything. Okay. But I don't like to follow the notes. I like to do it off the top of my head. Everybody with me? Yeah. Okay, great. So just some really, really basic stuff. We've talked a little bit about these windows, the way they work. For those of you, raise your hand if you're a designer. You are. There's only 2 people here that are taking 23. You're 123. Huh. I hope they didn't all drop. It was supposed to be 8 of you. All right. Anyway, the designers are used to the idea that when, if you grab these panels and you start moving them around, it just does what you think it's going to do, right? Like, see, I can just I can put these panels wherever I want, right? It works the way you want. If I just did what I just did in Maya, it would have crashed. We all know that, right? It would have been toast, what I was just doing. So anyway, but it works really well in Unity. I love Unity. It's my favorite program. As a matter of fact, I spent all my winter break building things in Unity. My wife is like, what is wrong with you? You're on vacation and you're doing what you do when you're working. I'm like, I just love it. It's just so fun. I wake up in the morning. It's the first thing I want to do. It's so fun. And so I hope you will get there too. I know it's a little weird. Okay, so just some basic stuff. Again, people have different experiences, and so I'm going to just be very, very basic. In the scene window, you want to play Unity like you're playing the piano. Anybody play the piano? I taught myself the piano over Christmas break. So it's like playing chords with your left hand and melodies with your right hand. The right hand's on the mouse, left hand's on the keyboard. It's like playing the piano. You get muscle memory. After a while, it's hard. Like if someone says, well, how'd you do that? You're like, I don't know. My fingers just do it, right? And so you'll get the same way. Daisy's like that with Photoshop, right? Yep. And so anyway, so first one is hold down the Alt key with your left hand and mouse. If you're, obviously if you're lefty, you can flip everything, but generally you hold down the Alt key with your left and then left mouse button and you rotate your object in here. Okay, so you rotate your object. And I'm going to show you the first pro tip of the class that's going to save you so much time. Are you ready? So what am I rotating around? I'm rotating around the center of the universe, right? But a lot of times you'll be like, oh, there's something weird going on over there, and I want to look at that, right? Everybody with me? Everybody listening? If I just point to it, put my mouse over it, middle mouse click, it centers it. Now, that is the center of my universe. And not only that, if I hold down the Alt key and I right mouse button and pull, I can zoom in like, oh, what's going on down there?
So once you middle mouse click on something, that becomes the central pivot point for alt click. Like,
Yes.
right click is.
The other way to do it is the way it's done in Maya. You can select an object. Like if I just keep selecting on things, right? I can just, it selects first from the top level. Like if I click on this hat, right? You'll see over here in the hierarchy, which is, guess what? It's a hierarchy. And the top, it says props. And I can open these things up. This works just the way you think. It's one of the things I love about Unity. It's just intuitive. I don't even have to teach you. You can just start playing around with it and you'll figure it out because it's so well designed. So you come up here with props. I can click on props and select all the props. Or if I just click on something, if I click on that, it's going to start by clicking on the highest level. If I click again, it'll click on the lowest level. So now it's on the safety hat. So click around, right? So if I click around on that and if I hit F, now it's going to focus. It's going to be just like I middle mouse clicked on it, right? So now that's the center focus of my investigation, right? So for instance, so all of you Maya people, which is only two or three, you should be blown away that this is rendering in real time with bloom. Do you see that bloom effect? That's so expensive and it's doing it in real time. And it's even better than you think. So if I come down here, if I click on the paint can, I mean, look at this.
Move the light around. Like, that's so cool.
Isn't that amazing? Reflections, specular highlights, all that good stuff.
Wait, what did you do for lights earlier? I was like setting up Unity at that time.
I'm not coming back. I can't go back
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
because that's not part of the lesson. We'll cover that stuff later. Look at that. It's animating. Oh my God. Okay. Okay, so what I want you to do is first things first. I want everybody, does everybody have this running? Is everybody looking around at something in here? Yep. Okay, great. I want you to now learn a little bit more about the world. So let's select an object. You can select anything you want. All right, let's start with that. Let's start with this. If I can click on it. So I have the safety hat. Let's say I want to make another safety hat. It's just Control D. And now it's just created another one, right? And you'll notice that little green plus on it, right? Now we'll cover that later. So now I have this safety hat. And you notice that I have the axis. Why? The green axis is up. Blue is forward, it's the Z axis, and red is the X axis, right? And you'll notice that it's aligned with the helmet, right? Can everybody see that? Sometimes that's what you want, right? Like if I just want to move this up, well, it's handy because up's up, right? But sometimes that's not what you want. Sometimes you want to move it relative to the world. So these ones up here are really, really useful up here. So this drop down here is global, local. If I switch it to global, you'll notice now Y is up, the big up. All right, so now if I move it, I'm not moving it relative to the hat. I'm moving it relative to the world. So that's one thing. Local, global. I want to show you one other thing. If I select on, I think this guy does it. Yeah, you'll notice that this guy, look at this. It's set up such that I can just grab one of these handles, or I can grab a plane. Like if I grab this plane here, That's in the XZ plane, right? It's green, meaning it's not up, it's not Y, right? So if I click on that, I can move this, and look, no matter where I move it, it's going to stay on the ground. Right? And why is that? Can somebody from that just took Maya tell me? Why is it staying on the ground? Anybody?
Opposite direction.
Because what?
Well, opposite direction.
You have the right idea. Yeah.
It's the degree of freedom that you're moving it around in, like you're only able to affect it on your. Is the green arrow, do they call it the y-axis or the z-axis?
Y-axis. Green is up.
Okay.
So you guys all have the right idea. But the key lesson, I want you to really focus on this right now, is that the designer of this was talking to the coder, and they were figuring out how to make things go. And the designer said, I'm going to put the pivot point at the bottom because this thing's going to sit on a floor somewhere. And it makes everything easier for everybody to think for a minute, where do those pivot points go? It's trivial to move that pivot point in Maya. And so you want to, when you're building something, you want to get your pivot points in the right place. In this case, it's there. But you sometimes want to, do something different. So I can change that from here to the center. So that's the center of the object. Right? So if I was going to design a character, where would I put the pivot point?
Probably between the feet. Like for a platform,
at least. That's a good guess. Probably between the feet, but you talk to your coder. You and the coder have to decide, how is this going to work? It depends on how you implement things. But oftentimes, for many kinds of games and things like that, many things, the character's on the floor, right? So you want to know where the floor is relative to the character, and the pivot point tells you. What if your character is some weird, crazy thing? You don't even know. You might not even know really where it would sit on the floor, right? So the pivot point is useful for that. And so you can switch between the pivot point and local. So those switches, those four states, global, local, and center pivot, are super, super valuable. So for instance, let's say I take this and I rotate it now, right? And so I've rotated it, right? And I did that by using the R, and this is all in the notes. R is for rotation. W is for move, right? So I can move it along moving along the local axis, or I can switch that. I can just come in here, I can grab it, I can grab one of these. Sorry, did I say R? R is for scale, oddly enough. Like I said, my fingers know where to go. My brain doesn't know. But so E is for rotation, R is for scale. Go figure. So again, it's like playing the piano. Your hand sits right here. You've got the Alt key and you got the WER key. Your fingers are right there. And I have a habit of putting my ring finger on W and then you can just play it, right? So for the scale, I can just, if I scale it if I scale along Y, it's going to make it tall, right? If I scale it with this, if I click and drag, I can scale the whole thing uniformly. Okay. So I want everybody to create an object. I want you to create a sculpture. It's time to have some fun. You know how to duplicate things. You know how to move them. You know how to rotate, scale them, right? So you can duplicate some of the things that are already there and make a little sculpture. And then take a screen grab of it and post it in today's folder. Phew, I can stop talking for a few minutes. I know, you're as grateful about that as I am.
I think we need like a HDMI to
Display port? No. Okay.
because right now it's HDMI to USB-C, and it's
How many do we need?
I think it's just this two.
Okay.
There's probably a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you mind at some point just figuring out how many we need to get?
Yeah.
And I'll order those. I'll order those tomorrow. We knew that we were missing some. And there was the IT guy was here in December. He said he's gonna order and set them up. We gotta check with him what they do after we order them, if it's not set them up. Okay.
Is it just a boost in ones?
It's just in the now.
Fritzies.
Luke, how many of these classes have you been through? Fourth.
Twice.
Thought you might have TA'd twice. I mean, it's already fun, right? Oh, I know what we need. Bless you. Just three? Okay. I don't know. That might put me to sleep. Let's try this one. YouTube music. Uh-oh, what happened?
There's 5.
5, okay. Oh, that's much better. Get something done. So there's a couple of switches up here. Some people I'm noticing have this switch turned on. You might be seeing stuff like that. Right? Is that what your scene looks like? That's what your scene looks like. There's this button up here. Toggle visibility of all gizmos in the scene. You can just turn that on and off. If that's not visible, sometimes you have to move stuff around. They've changed this. This stuff has all changed recently. You might have to move stuff around to find it. But it looks like this, which I know looks like some of the other ones. Kind of looks like those too, but you turn that off. So if you finish one sculpture and you're waiting for everybody else, make another one. Practice.
Okay, how do I create a new object to group everything together? So I just like that. What's the other one?
All right, so when you upload your images, we should see them in this folder.
They're like all over the place. Give me a second.
Who's Ellie? Hi, Ellie. Nice job. Everybody give Ellie a round of applause for putting the first one up there. And let's take a look at it. Oh, beautiful. It's conceptual art. Genius. I love it. It's great. And that's good practice. That was a good one.
I
I can forget.
All right, it's 5:45. Why don't you guys wrap it up? Whatever sculpture you've created. Raise your hand if you need help making a screen grab. Yeah, I would just crop it to, try to make it look nice. So everybody, quick look at the screen. There's this document that says link to TA practical advice to students, okay? If you open that up, you'll see this started with Emily, but it's been updated with TA's advice ever since. There's the principles, laws, commandments. These are things thou shalt never do. All right, you want to read those. But it also has stuff about screen capturing on a Mac and a PC. There's, all right. Someone in this class will do this because it happens every term. Even though I say this, you cannot mix Unity's interaction tools with Meta's interaction tools. They're oil and water. All right, we're starting to see some. So Jeff, you got to name your thing the right way. Say that again, what?
It's almost what he's got.
Are you kidding me?
You can rename it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you on one of our machines? Is it the one of the new PCs? It's always something. All right, looks like people are getting their sculptures up. Let's take a look at them.
Where is this?
Somebody made Sarah. Who's Sarah? Made a house. What the heck? That's
Where do you-
crazy.
Where do you?
This is gonna be a good class.
Wait, where do you find the, project for this again? Is it here? Is it in?
These are great. These are, seriously, these are the best ones that people have done. That's a good sign. All right, so now I want to show you one more thing.
Those are. Feel free to screenshot.
All right, you ready? So now you've created an object. Let's say I've created this object, and let's say I did something with this. Oh yeah, I should show you this. So when you're trying to align things, you have this little gizmo over here. If I click on Y, I can see directly from the top, X directly from the side. Right, so I can just click on this stuff right here, and you can move this thing around. Just grab it with this here. There it is. No? Anyway, usually you can move it around. The other thing you can do is, what's nice about it is, unlike in Maya, if you're in this mode, you can just go back and forth more easily. I can go, if I just use the Alt left mouse button, I can do the orbit mode. You also have this little button down here below, and it says there's this perspective thing. So it's right now, the camera is perspective. If I click on that, now it's orthographic, which means I'm just looking at it straight, so it undoes the perspective. So if you do that and you look at it from the top, it's a really handy thing if you're trying to align something. So now I'm looking straight down and there's no perspective, and it just makes it really easy. I can just grab that and I can align it with that. You're all saying, wow, why didn't you tell me that before I made my sculpture? Would have made life so much easier. Anyway, you get the sense of that. So now let's say I have these two objects. I've created these. And what I want to do, I want to just duplicate them, right? So now I have two, they're here, right? And I want to move them around. You can just click and drag things on the hierarchy to move them around. I want to pull them out of this props because it's your sculpture, right? So you click on, you can just do one at a time. You click on an object, you click all of them, and you can just move it. You click and drag, and when you see the line that's between two things, you can just drop it there, right? So now I've moved them like that. Okay? So now what I want to do is I find an empty space down here, and I right-click on it, and I say create empty. Everybody see that? Everybody with me? Right-click in a blank space, say create empty. What's an empty? Well, we're going to talk more about it. It's really all it is a transform. It just says it has a position in space, rotation, and scale. If I right-click on the word transform, I can say reset, and it will just set it to 000000111. Okay, very handy. So now I have a game object, and it's just another object. I can just go find it. That's it. That's the object. It's right there. That's the origin of the world, right? And I can move that. I can move it to be over here, right? So now the game object is in that position, right? But now what I want to do is I want to take these two objects that I've moved over, the part of my sculpture, and I click on one and I control-click on the other, right? And I click and drag them, put them underneath the game object, right? And then I click on the game object, and up here I can say, I'm going to name it. I'm going to say my sculpture, right? So now I have my sculpture. And now when I click on my sculpture, I can move that around, and I'm moving those guys around. And I had duplicated them, which is handy. But I can also now transform my sculpture, right? So I want you to do that. I want you to do that, and then there's one more step. Under Assets, I want to right-click in here, just very similar to how I created the empty. I right-click in the empty spot, and I'm going to say Create, and I'm going to say Create Folder. Everybody see that? Create Folder, right? So right-click in the empty space, Create Folder. So I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call that one Prefabs. And I'm going to click on it, open it up, and I'm going to take my sculpture, which is just, right now, it's just an object. I'm going to take it, I'm going to drag it into there. So what am I doing? I'm taking something that I created in the scene, in my scene. I've created this in the scene, right? Using all those tools. And by dragging it down into into my project, I've now turned it into an object that's on my drive, right? If I right click on it, I say show in Explorer, it'll show me where on my drive that object is. My sculpture prefab. You'll notice that all objects that you have in your project will have a .meta file. That does nothing to do with the company meta. That has to do with its meta information about that object. And you can delete those and it just makes them again. So you don't have to worry too much about them. Just ignore them. But Maya needs them. I mean, Unity needs them. All right, so now that you've created this, now I have a prefab. It's a very, very handy thing. And what I want you to do is right click on your prefab and say export package. Export package. And you'll notice now it has all those things. So you want to look through here and say, well, is everything in here necessary? Well, all of these things are, right? But some of these things are not. Like, do I need the README? No, I don't think so. Do I need any of this stuff? No, I don't need any of this stuff. Tutorial info, I don't need any of that. So I'm just going to turn that off. And it's got my sculpture, which is the prefab, and then all the stuff that makes that prefab the prefab. And I'm going to hit export. And I'm going to put it somewhere. Put it somewhere where you can get it. Put it in your DXR folder. Don't put it in documents or the desktop because that's going to add clutter. Put it in your DXR folder and then upload it to the folder, to today's folder. Okay. So in today's folder, there's going to be an image and there's going to be a prefab. And don't name it my prefab so they're all the same. Name it with your name. Put your name, prefab, whatever. Ellie, prefab. Daisy, prefab. Tanner, prefab. Do you want me to show you that again? No, you guys are good? Straightforward? Oh, yeah. Ellie, you done already? You are fast. Correct answer was, yes, I am. Bet your ass. Oh, I just recorded that.
Sorry, what I had some recreated parts of it since part of it's like broken. What do you do once you create something into an empty again? Like once you put every relevant thing into an empty?
Yeah. So once you have it into your empty, right? So you have a structure like this. I want you to then create, I want you to then go to assets, right click and say create folder. Create folder. These are all the things that you're going to be doing a million times by Saturday, probably. So you might as well get used to it. So create folder. You're going to create a folder, call it prefabs. And then in prefabs, you just click and drag. So this is, again, why I'm saying these windows need to be here because you're doing this all the time. You're dragging from, I can, like if I want to have more of these sculptures, I can drag it into here, but I can also drag it right there. Look at that. And why did it just snap to the ground? Because of the pivot point. Well, in this case, it's the empty, but boom. Handy, right?
And
All right, so now I have these prefabs, and then you go to your prefab and you right click on your prefab and say export package. And give it a name, put your name, so it'll be Tanner, sculpture, or prefab, whatever you want to call it.
export package is not, so I have exports asset package. Is that it?
Yeah. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
So again, it's nice the way you guys set this up is I can just sort by name and I can see, you know, that Jeff has his prefab in and he has his demo sculpture, right? I can just, it makes it really quickly. So that's why only add a subfolder if you really have to, and we'll talk about that. Sometimes you have to, but for the most part, just put everything up there and just put your name as a prefix. All right, now are you guys ready for the really, really, really fun stuff? All right. You guys with me? All right, actually, I'll tell you what to do. Easiest way to do this is you go to the syllabus. And again, today you're getting used to, this is how we work every day, all the time. So you get used to this. You go to the syllabus under our week 1 module, and you'll see lecture notes. Open up these lecture notes if you haven't already. And in those lecture notes, go down to the place where it says first and third person player controller. And I want you to follow these rules, follow these steps. And I'm going to do it myself too. We're going to follow these steps. We're going to install, I want you to install a third person player character, okay? The trickiest part is just getting it installed, getting it downloaded. All right, so right here, there's the asset store. This is something that Unity provides. You have all kinds of assets. If you, so I'm going to walk through that. But if you're kind of ahead, some of you are speedier. If you want to just go through and not listen to me, that's fine. If you want to follow me, follow me. Okay, so whichever way you like to learn. Is this class over at 6:30?
6:20.
Just lost 10 minutes. Okay. So the asset store is great. There's all kinds of stuff in here. A lot of the assets that you saw in those demos were scavenged. It's okay to scavenge. I'll talk to you more about that on each assignment. Sometimes, just go grab stuff if you want. There's a lot of stuff that's free out there. As it turns out, here's the problem with scavenging. People that do this work, like professionals, like let's say you're trying to get a job and you're interviewing at a game company, they've seen all of those assets, and some of them get used over and over and over again. So you get really tired of seeing them. So there's that. And if you're a designer, you know how to do 3D modeling. What you do is you scavenge the stuff that nobody really cares about. Scavenge some rocks, some trees, maybe, and then build by hand the things that are really important: the spaceship, the bicycle, the characters, a doorway, a building. Just put your energy into the things that really matter. There's the magic object, right? Think about what that should be and make something really nice. Don't scavenge your special stuff. And anyway, in here, what I want you to do is, I think it's called, if you use the right thing, starter assets. And they're free. So you go starter assets. So here you go, starter assets, third person. You can also do first person on your own. It works almost the exact same way. And it's really cool.
$95 for a dialogue system? Whoa.
See, if you created it, you could be making money. Actually, one person did a know-how on that. Their know-how was how to create a package and put it up in the Unity asset store. I'm like, that's a good idea. I've always told you the idea, like we should band together and create the Dartmouth asset package. Wouldn't that be awesome? And then whatever money we make goes to like a big party at the end of the term.
Right. Have you interacted with the CS Society people yet with like the whole game, with the whole hackathon? Well, there's like a whole game jam that like
I have not, and I really should.
Well, I mean, you should probably talk to her.
Fuck you.
All right.
Yeah, she like organized that. I like I tried doing like a solo dev, but I also had a bunch of other stuff that I tried to do art, assets, game design, programming, and music all at once. It did not work,
Yeah.
but it was a really fun like
Well, I'll tell you, I have a student who graduated from this class. He was the first TA I had in this class. And he took it the very first term that I taught it. And he was an ace at this. And he graduated and he went to Stanford. He got into the master's program at Stanford. And he goes, when he was at Stanford, he entered all of these hackathons. He goes, I am winning every single hackathon. He's like, because it's just like your class. He goes, in many ways, it's easier. I'm like, that's great.
so one of the
And he does all this. He did all this. They would just build these, XR games, like build them from scratch in like 24 hours. Anyway, what were we gonna say?
apparently like I'm looking through some of the other things, and one of them is a freemium. It's a freemium template for $75. That's absolutely selling shovels in a gold mine right there.
All right, stay focused, everybody. So download this, the starter assets package. See, I'm sure I already have it. Download the starter assets pack. We're running out of time. I'd like to get you through this before we run out of time. I thought we had till 6:30.
You're the open immunity.
Yeah. All right. All right. So once you've done that, you'll have this new entry down here, starter assets, and you'll see all this new stuff. You have the third person controller. You open up prefabs, you have some bunch of stuff, but these are on my hard drive, right? If I right click on them, say show and explorer, I can go find that stuff. I also have scenes. And I think this starter scene is the one. Oh, that's a different one. Oh,
What is that blue color when it like everything loads? Is that like the default texture for everything easy, or?
that just means it hasn't loaded yet. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, the default one is there's a bright magenta that you'll see. Yeah, I thought there was a playground, but
No, there is.
There is? Okay.
Yeah, it's under third person controllers. It's like the first thing in scenes.
anyway, you should have a character that you can then, if you hit up top here, there's a button that has run. You'll have WASD and also your mouse, and you can run around the scene. So if you don't have this scene, I think I imported the wrong thing. So you may have a guy just standing there out in the middle of nowhere, right? Unlike my guy who's in a world. So I'm going to help you with that. Right? Does everybody have it downloaded and in a game? Okay, I want you to follow me. You ready? Well, you can follow all the steps that are in that document. wherever the heck that is. Yeah, so if you follow these steps, it couldn't be simpler. The main thing is you just have to delete your camera and you want to copy over main camera, player armature, and player follow camera. You drag and drop those into your scene. You just have to then move this. Let me know if you want me to do this, or is it easier? I think it's probably easier just to follow the doc. But let me know. I'm happy to do it if you want me to do it. So that should get you there. But you might not have a world. So I wanted to show you one more thing. If we can get through this, this would be great. You with me? Everybody's attention, real quick. So we're going to start creating objects. Right now, we've been importing stuff, but you can also create stuff. You come up here and say game object, 3D object, and I want you to do plane. Everybody see that? Game object, 3D object, plane. Boom, I now have a plane. And what you notice is the plane will be automatically expect you to type in a name. So type in ground. All right, so now I have ground plane. You can change that name either directly then, or you can always come up here and change it up here in the inspector. But I have it selected, and you notice that it came in a weird place. It always comes in the center of your scene view. Which is confusing to some people sometimes. And so you often, what you want to do is when it's selected, the first thing I often do is I come up here to the transform. I do the same thing. I right click and I say reset. Now that plane has been reset so that that center point, which is also the pivot point, is at the origin. Okay. So I just moved it. I created the plane, moved it to its origin. And if you look down here on the right, you've got all these different things. I've got a mesh renderer so that it can be rendered. I've got a mesh collider so that the guy can walk on it and things will fall on it. It's just all set up for you automatically. You're pretty much done. You've got a game. All right, it's a boring game, but technically. All right, so we want to create a material because right now the material is this. This is the default material. And the default material is sort of this muddy gray color. So I want you to create another folder. You go to assets and you right click on assets and you say create folder and create a materials folder. Well, I already have one. So create a materials folder. And then in your materials folder, you right click and say create, guess what? Material. Material you might find it down here somewhere, but find the word material. You with me? Am I going too fast? A little? So you say material, and it's going to ask for a name. So just say ground, GRND or something, right? And then now I have this. I have a material, and I see where it says where it's white. I can come up here, and I'm going to give it a color. Pick it. So keep it kind of white-ish, maybe a little orangey. And then hit it and close it. So I've just changed the color. I haven't done anything fancy yet. Just changed the color of what they say base map, surface inputs. If this is closed, you got to open that up. Should be open. And base map, click on the color and set it to a light color. So now I have ground. Well, the cool thing now is I can just click and I can just drag this into either here or here. If I drag and drop it onto the object, it'll then make that color. So make a ground and then also say create empty. No, sorry, game object, 3D object, and make a capsule. And I'm going to create another color. Create material. Oops, that's not what I meant. Create material. And I'm going to call it, I don't know, green. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click this. I'm going to give it a bright color. You can do whatever color you want, obviously, right? But this one, I can make it nice and bright. And I'm going to take that green color and I'm going to drag it onto the capsule. All right, so now I have a green capsule. And then as a stretch goal, we have just 6 more minutes. I'm going to take that capsule. Am I going too fast? Why don't you tell me when you get to this point? All right. You guys with me? All right, cool. So let's just take it one more step. You take the capsule, right? Take the capsule and you come over here. So this is, we're going to talk more about this later, but the core concept of Unity that you need to understand is it's a component-based system, which means that all of these objects, when you click on an object and you see over here, each one of these tabs is a component. So this one has now has a transform component, capsule mesh filter. It has a mesh renderer. It has a capsule collider, and it has a material. Each of those are a component. And when you're working here, you're going to be creating your own components and adding them. And when you create your own components, just like these have all these switches, like is trigger, it has all these different switches in here, right? What are the materials? You can create your own slots with code. You create a slot that you're dragging and dropping stuff in. That's how you work in Unity. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, it really is. It's just so well designed. But so right now, just to get our feet wet, I want you to just do add component and type in ridge, R-I-G, and you'll see rigid body. But I want to show you actually before I do that. Can you guys see this? It's a little small. Hit add component. You can look at all these things that are already in here. There's all kinds of stuff in here. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. 99% of the stuff you're going to need is already out there. And so like, for instance, physics. If you just click on physics, look at all that stuff. Hinge joints, rigid body, terrain collider, wheel collider, fixed joint, cloth. What the heck? And if you want to know how to do one of these things, we're not going to be able to scratch the surface on this stuff. But if you want to really do a deep dive on some of these things, that's a great know-how. That could be your know-how. And you can start it now. Anyway, what we want is we want the rigid body, which is in here. You can just grab it, or you can just type in what everyone always does. You type in ridge, and you'll get a rigid body. And then you click on it, and now I have a rigid body. What a rigid body does, the rigid body and the capsule collider work together. And they have this sort of green icon because they're part of the physics system, which we were just looking at. So this is telling Unity, that the physics system needs to pay attention to this object, right? It's not just something to look at. it's actually going to engage with the physics system, okay? Which is pretty darn cool. And if you open that up, you'll see it has this one thing that we want to deal with. It says use gravity. If that's checked on, gravity is checked on, right? All I have to do now is I hit play. Oh, that's so awesome, right? You're not impressed. Okay, let's do this. What happens if is this mean? This might be mean. Very nice, huh? And you can easily just create a whole bunch more. And I don't want to go into it's 620, but then we'll set it up so that he actually reacts to that. And I can create a couple of these. So just control D to create another one. Oops. So if you have time, just make a little video and show me that you've got it this far and then submit it. If you don't have time or don't want to take time, that's perfectly okay. You can just take a screen grab and put it in the folder so that I can see that you got to the point where you have a guy and you have a capsule, and I'm sure you have a rigid body, or show whatever you want to do. I mean, that's pretty amazing, right? With so little effort. I remember the days when that would take a lot of coding to get that to work. And now it's all right there. All right. Well, I know that was a lot of talking. You guys were sitting in that chair for a long, long time. It's going to be a lot different from now. We had to cover a lot of, dry stuff at the beginning about how the class works. There isn't a homework assignment. The homework assignment is to the Unity project is out. We can talk about this. We'll talk about this more, but the main thing, what you want to do is you can click on this, open it up, start reading this. You'll get a sense. You can look at some of the examples of what other people have done. We'll talk more about this on Thursday. But mainly what I want you to do is this, Unity basics. So you can tell that this is due because here's the date. The X hour is today. We do the regular class and the X hour together. And then in week 1, lecture 2, 1-7, it's the third part of the Unity intro. And I want you to all watch this video. If you click on this link, this is for everybody. Everybody should have a sense of this stuff. And I talk a little bit about it. There's something that happened weird we found out. So here's the thing. They've deprecated the old Unity interaction. The old Unity interaction was dirt simple. It was just, and that's what I'm showing you here. And so it's a valid question to say, well, why aren't we doing it the new way? The new way is much more complicated. And I don't want to spend a lot of time going into the complicated stuff on an interface, but you can do that on your own. If you're a coder and you kind of feel comfortable and you want to do that, it's not that hard. I can give you a link to something, but really what I want you to focus on is if you can just do the basics. I really want you to learn the basics of using Unity, because when we do the XR stuff, you're going to learn a different interface. And so let's focus on learning how to do the interfaces for XR, because this is an XR class, rather than learning something that's fairly complicated for the Unity interface, Unity interaction. And so here's the Unity interaction is much better than the old one. much better because it handles all kinds of cases, all kinds of controllers, but you pay a price of complexity for all that. But it is, you know, the way to go in the future. So I just want everybody to be clear about that. So it's deprecated. So what that means is you have to navigate to this, and I walk you through it. You go to Edit, Project Settings, Player, and then in Player, you click on Player on the left, right? No, so it's Edit, Project Settings. This comes up, and then you find Player on the left, and then you have to find this. It says Active Input Handling, and you have to go from Input Manager old, but it's what it says is Input Manager System new. But what I want you to do is just select both, and it should work. If it doesn't work, let me know, and and again, this is what we use Discord for. Sometimes things change. Sometimes they worked yesterday and they don't work tomorrow. And we work on just solving those problems together. Okay. All right. Sorry, I went 5 minutes overtime on the first day. But like I said, I thought I had till 6:30. Anybody have any questions? Anything?
So this was,
Yeah.
Yeah, the invite link is in the email. I don't see it at the very beginning.
No, he wants card key access to the room.
Oh, I think it's at the server. And do we shut down or just like sleep our computers?
For right now, it's probably fine just because you haven't done anything valuable.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just shut down or just leave it, whatever you want to do.
Press the alien button.
Oh, yeah. No, wait. This is important. Oh, sorry. You have to shut down Unity before you leave. Not today. It's okay today, but from now on, all right, if you're sitting down, just shut down Unity. The reason why is it's a huge memory hog. And when the other classes come in, they're going to be like, why can't I do any 3D modeling? Why can't I do any animation? Because Unity has hogged all the memory. Of course, those programs hog memory too, and they're encouraged to shut down as well. But just to be kind to the next person who comes in, you want to shut down Unity. Make sure that it's not open, okay? That's all I wanted to say for you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
What about this move report here?